Yeah.
With a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my pocket's that deep. With nothing to prove, I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm the one that's gonna benefit. Never been a threat.
Bah.
Right on cue as
There we go.
fade into that. Shouts to Isaiah. What's good, bro?
Nothing much, Nick. I mean, can I get the sad part out of the way initially? Because it kind of this was something that happened today. And I hate to like take it on a sad note, but dude, my alumni, UNLV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a active shooter. Everything, is handled and is taken care of now. But everyone's going to hear about it. I mean, it's going to make it all over the news. But yeah,
man.
that's like, pretty nuts.
It's our backyard now.
Yeah, and not only that, but I didn't necessarily feel this way about like what happened 1 October, because like I don't know, I never was planning on going to that festival. It still felt like very heavy, but like this was like on campus, dude. My brother goes to school, like it's a whole heap of shit. So I'm glad everybody is safe now. And amongst all that craziness, I got a chance to meet Stephen A. Smith today.
Yes, sir.
So it's like
in the studio.
With the negative, there is the positive, and we're making the most of it right now.
And also Professor Ben Morse. He was in here the other day.
Yeah, dude.
He teaches over at UNLV, and immediately when I saw that, I just finished training jiu-jitsu, and when I saw that, hit him up right away. And he's good. His students are good, but yeah, man, sad shit. And also, you know what, man? Like you always feel it more when it's in your neck of the woods, right? Like it's more relatable. I've gone to UNLV 3 times since I moved here to go and like talk to that class to Professor Morse. So, and a lot of my friends went to school there too that I train with and whatnot. You went to school there, right?
Yeah, and dude, my diploma sits right above my desk. So it's just like,
I don't know what that
subtle
is.
flex. I know you don't know what that is. It's a piece of paper that I bought from Puerto Rico that says I went to a college.
Okay.
Just so happened to be UNLV. You should do the same thing. You ever think about the fake degree?
Nah, I feel like it's way cooler that I dropped out. Only because things worked out.
Got you.
If it didn't, it wouldn't be cool.
Eventually get an honorary doctorate. You know what I mean? Just be so famous that you get an honorary doctorate from like, I don't know. What's your favorite school? Favorite college? If you were to go back and redo it, Nick, where are you going to school? All right. All offers are on the table.
I mean, look, can I get an ISO here? I'd have to pick the U.
Wow.
Because Miami.
Yeah.
A lot of nice things walking around in Miami.
You're not wrong.
Shout out to A Street Latinas. Those that know, and those that don't are lying to themselves.
Muy rica.
And probably, you know where else?
Yes. Where?
Arizona State.
My brother just got an offer to Arizona State.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, your brother might play for the Giants one day.
Let's get into that. Nick. Because I know it's a brother's dream to always see, your other brother succeed. My brother's fucking doing it. I mean, he has a chance to go to a Power 5 school
Tell
here.
the people who your brother is, because I feel like we've touched on it in the past, but like your brother's legit, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So 6'5", 330-pound left tackle, started both his redshirt freshman and redshirt sophomore year out of San Jose State, never missed a snap, extremely healthy, and he got honorable mention. He got kind of robbed, but it's all politics when it comes to like first team, second team, and honorable mention. He gets honorable mention his second year, and just this past Sunday, dude, he called me and he's like, I'm not going to play in the bowl game. Very tough bowl game to pass up, by the way. He was going to the Hawaii Bowl.
Whoa.
I bought plane tickets, dropped $1,400 because going to Hawaii isn't,
Shout out to the Texas Rangers futures, though. It makes paying things a lot easier, brother.
Listen, I work hard.
You do.
I work hard. I play equally as hard.
But yo,
yes,
money won.
Yes.
3 times better than money earned.
Say less.
If we go to the slot machine right now, you win $500. You're like, holy shit. But if you work and you make $500, it's like, it's cool. I like it. But when you win it, it's like, bro,
I was just talking to Stephen A. Smith's, and I will go back to my brother in a second, Stephen A. Smith's sister. And she's like talking about my favorite slot machine. And me and her just like bonded. We're like, yeah, the big pot one. And we go look for the big pots. And I'm going to go play before I leave today. That's going to happen. But
you think it's a good thing to, you think it's like a good omen? Do you believe in that kind of stuff?
Like when she brings up my favorite slot machine
Yeah.
we don't even know the name of this slot machine, but we know exactly what we're talking about. I don't think it gets any more like obvious than that I got to go test the waters.
You got to go test the waters, bro. You got to go in there.
But anyways, back to my brother. He entered the transfer portal. Tell me why my dad, Nick, he calls me because we had already bought the tickets. We're planning this amazing family vacation, be out there in Hawaii for a couple of days. So my dad calls me Sunday and he's like, George, we're not going to Hawaii. So like I thought at first somebody died and then he said, we're not going to Hawaii. Your brother's transferring. And I'm like, Pops, like, why are you crying right now?
Could have been worse, bro.
I was like, you need to save the crying phone calls from when like real tragedy strikes. I mean, not going to Hawaii is pretty fucking tragic. Hey, buying non-refundable plane tickets, tragic.
Yeah.
All right. So he calls, we get it all situated. And then literally for the last 2 days, after my brother enters the portal, it has been Power 5 school after Power 5 school, crazy money. And we'll see. He's got until January 7th to decide. He's going to go on a couple of visits, going to UCLA this weekend.
Nice, bro.
Yeah. So
Fuck yeah, man.
I'm super happy, super proud of him. Make sure you follow Carmona Jr. on all social media platforms. And
we're going to show him love on the page for sure.
Follow the success story.
I've already bullied him into like, yo, bro, when you go to the league, I want a ticket.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I got you, bro. I got a screenshot. So, hey, man.
That is contractually binding.
You know what I'm saying?
He did say that.
We gotta get it in. We gotta do it the right way.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's fun little segue into a crazy NFL weekend.
NFL weekend, yeah. But I kind of want to start the conversation because we know about the NFL MVP award since 2012 has been won by a quarterback. It's a quarterback award. We have a fun segment planned where we're going to look at the 9 favorites, the 9 betting favorites for MVP this year. And we're going to make a case for and against each one of them. But before we do that, George, is it alarming how many starting quarterbacks have gone down this year? And it seems like every week, another one bites the dust, right?
Ooh.
And you're talking about season-ending injuries. We got Burrow with the wrist, Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins with Achilles, Vanilla Vic, Daniel Jones with the ACL. I got to see that in HD 4K in person happen right in front of me. The first time he falls, I'm like, oh, this idiot can't even stand upright. The second time he falls, I'm like, oh, let me guess, blown ACL. Then I meet up with you at halftime. You're like, bro, the report, he tore his ACL. I was like, oh, lovely. So you have that one. You got Deshaun Watson and Anthony Richardson with throwing shoulder injuries. So they shut them down for the year. And then you had Trevor Lawrence get stepped on. And that looked pretty vicious because that's like a 300 plus pound dude just stepping on your ankle as you're dropping back. All your weight is distributed coming forward. And then that guy's stepping on you. That couldn't be pleasant. What do you make of these injuries to the quarterbacks?
What do I make of it? Here's the thing, and I may be completely wrong in saying it, but the NFL is very brutal. And every year, I would say it averages about 4 to 5 quarterback injuries a season. So like you listed off there, pretty prominent names. And when they get injured, then it seems like there's an epidemic almost. When in reality, like this is just what happens. Every time that I always coach football, I always looked right at that backup quarterback's face and I said, hey, look at me right now. You will be playing at some point in time this season. Because it's true, whether it's playing in garbage time BS or, Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. Well, what do I make of it? I think there's a fundamental like strength programming flaw. This is what I've been seeing like reports on, that a lot of the lower half injuries that have really happened without anybody like inflicting a tackle or anything. All those come from like foundational strength things that people overlook, especially, you know, nowadays where you kind of want to rest the body as much as possible. And a lot of people, you know, bypass like the work that you got to put in. So yeah, that's my scientific, and also football's just, it's gruesome. Like people are going to get hurt, and you know, some teams, dude, are going to just be in this never ending cycle of not being able to keep one healthy. And then it's like a offensive line problem. You Giants know about that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do for a decade now, which is crazy. But to tie the betting into this, it's the only position in the sport that the odds shift so drastically.
Oh yeah.
Like there is a meme that goes around whenever a guy gets traded, when it's a running back or a wide receiver or maybe offensive line, any other position, and it'll show, for example, Buffalo Bills before the trade, 40-1. Buffalo Bills when they got, I don't know, a random running back, 40-1, right?
Yeah.
But it's a troll job to show you that the sports books don't really value anyone else other than the quarterback. We all know this, right? It's a reason why they make $40 million a year, $50, $60 million.
Yep.
With them, the odd shifts are wild. We were both invested in the Bengals. Burrow goes down prior to the Thursday Night Football game. So that Thursday afternoon before the Ravens game, they're 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. They announced the next day that he's hurt, 60-1. They're like, GG's, bro. It's a wrap. You guys are not winning shit, right? Like that's what happened there. And then you look at some of the other teams, like the same thing happened with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yep.
The most heavily wagered team to win the Super Bowl this year was the New York Jets.
Hard Knocks worked.
And then bam, right away, cut in half the odds. So, and then you look at the other quarterbacks too. Like I think Cleveland was a team that I talked about a couple of weeks ago where we did like pretenders and contenders, teams that are in the playoffs that we think could drop out. And my pick was Cleveland because like, dude, they started Joe Flacco.
And he looked good.
He looked pretty good, man.
When I saw that as a Saints fan, I'm like, this motherfucker was eating potato chips a month and a half ago, and we could have had him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. He was I think the Brownies could get hot at the end with Joe Flacco.
I think he's not there anymore already. I think Joe Flacco got bounced.
What?
I think it was a one and done rental.
How does that happen?
Or am I bugging? Oh, no. Oh, never mind. I take all that back. They were going to move him to the practice squad, but they kept him off.
Because they have two eyes and they can see that
Joe Flacco,
gives them a
38
chance.
years old, still out here doing it. That's crazy.
You said Jewing it.
Jewing it, yeah. My take on the quarterback stuff, though, I think a lot of it has to do with, it's weird because I would say a lot of the injuries that happen early in the season is because like your body's not acclimated yet to the full speed of the game. But then it's not the case when some of these guys are going down week 6, week 7, week 8. So I think it's just unfortunate injuries. Like it's just something where whenever it's a non-contact, bro, I blew my knee out once. I had surgery on my ACL, left knee, playing football. I ran out of bounds, got shoved from behind, immediately broke down, started crying. Because I just knew, like, you know your body better than anyone else.
Yeah.
You're like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Why can't I bend my knee now? That sucks.
Walking really hurts, you know, things like that.
And I wasn't in pain. I was just devastated because I never felt something like that in my body. And I was saying to myself, this is 6 to 9 months for certain. And then before you know it, my knee like doubled in size. And then I had a torn ACL. So, and then you see some hits on players sometimes, bro, where you're like, oh shit, he blew out his knee. And then he gets up like, it's good. Sprinting to the sideline.
Happens at least to me 14 times an NFL Sunday where I'm like, oh, he got up. All right, cool.
Yeah. You're like, holy shit, he got smoked. No, he's fine.
I always say that the hardest contact has occurred in football is happening every weekend. They're setting new records. These people are so fucking.
And what's crazy is when when football has become so watered down with the hits, when you do see one, you're like, brings back good memories. Dude, there used to be a segment on ESPN called Jacked Up.
It's the best segment.
It's the best.
ever
And it was
created.
just dudes just getting CTE. Like, that's what the whole segment was.
Yeah.
Kids
Targeting.
smoked.
Yeah. They need to, I guess, I mean, I'm not going to tell ESPN what to do. They're doing just fine for themselves, but it's like, come on now. Instead of Jacked Up, maybe like, I don't know, targeting exclusive or something like where you just go through every targeting penalty. But then I think we would be upset because they're not even that bad.
Yeah.
Like you see what Josh Jacobs has been getting hit with?
Yeah.
With like leading with his head?
Oh, dude, the worst has been
It's like,
Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren has gotten fined close to $100,000.
Oh my God.
And he's making like $43,000 a game because he was like an undrafted rookie. He's a rookie.
They got to set these fines up like in percentages. Like, you know, we're fining you a certain percentage of your salary as opposed to like, damn, bro, you're going to make this man have to go out there and like close sponsorship deals tomorrow to stay alive.
So he got paid. We talked about this. He got paid lowering his shoulder against Brown safety Jawan Thornhill in week 2. That fine was for $48,556. His game check was $51,000.
Oh
So
my
you're talking
God.
about this guy went home with $3,000 on a hit that was just, you're lowering your shoulder. You're making a football play. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, I mean, I guess I'm happy that I would be happier if they got penalized for it, like in the moment. You know what I mean? Because none of these things are penalties. You watch it, it's just a 2nd and 6 and they get 3 yards and the game keeps moving. But if you penalize it, then like I'm a fan of it. But let's not hurt these people's bank accounts like that.
Especially when they're not making money like all the other guys in the league.
Oh, man.
It's a little bit, it's concerning, man. The league, they kind of do whatever they want. There's no like precedent. They kind of just go and go.
I did say, and I said this at the beginning of the on our show before the NFL season, there will be more fines this year than any other year in the NFL. And I will find the chart at the end of the year and we can see. But I'm almost certain of it. It may double.
I mean, Kareem Jackson is definitely holding it down for you so far. Is it over $1 million he's been fined, I think?
I have to look it up. I mean,
There's some bad ones because they're getting worse and worse. Like when you're a first offender, second offender, eventually it's, now you're just
holy
labeled.
shit. He has to serve 3 months in prison at the end of the NFL season
Nah,
because he targeted that much. It's a crime. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? They start giving these guys sentences. Wow.
Kareem Jackson.
89,000 for 4 illegal hits.
He's been in the league for a minute too, dude. He's 35 years old, drafted in 2010. Yeah, he used to play for the Texans.
This is what the show is called. Veterans minimum, bro.
That's right.
He's legit
Yeah.
on the vet min right now.
Shout out to the veterans minimum. Before we move on to our next segment, let's do an ad read quick and give a shout out to Fly Me Out. Fly Me Out scouts and curates trips to some of the world's most exciting locations. Those who join only need to purchase their slot. They take care of everything else. From logistics to activities, it's a phenomenal way to network and meet with some of the top achievers and innovators from various industries. Legends, do you ever feel the urge to break away and discover the world with a like-minded tribe? Let me introduce you to Fly Me Out, the premier social travel club. Imagine if LinkedIn, Airbnb, and Raya had a travel-loving baby. Whether you're looking to network with professionals on a beach or bond with creatives in the heart of a city, Fly Me Out has got you covered. Dive into curated experiences, and with their platform, it's never been easier to find your tribe and see the globe. Don't just travel, make memories with Fly Me Out. Listeners of the show, use code VM1 for expedited application review. Download the app, Fly Me Out, use code VM1 for expedited application review. They're planning a trip to come out to Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, for New Year's. So go, get it in, VM1, and maybe I'll hit up Zach and be like, yo, have him come by the studio again. Have them come by the studio.
Yeah. I thought they lived here. I
No,
may
they
have
were
missed
visiting.
that. From New York?
Kind of everywhere.
Well,
My
yeah,
buddy
well,
Zach
there.
is, shouts to Zach. Zach is from New York. He's a piece of shit though, because he's a Cowboys fan.
Ooh.
And all he does every time the Cowboys beat the Giants, because it's been 12 straight times. You know what I'm saying, George?
That text message is never late, I'm imagining.
It's only a smiley face.
Oh.
And it angers me. Just a smiley face.
Do you get a thumbs down reaction to it?
Nah, we end up starting a conversation because he's a good friend of mine, but
Yeah.
I just want him to know. I'm going to clip this. I'm going to tag Zach. Shouts to Zach, but also, go fuck yourself. How about that one? His quarterback is
Odds on favorite?
tied.
Tied for the odds on favorite.
Yeah, tied for league MVP right now. So I want to do this segment with you, and it'll tie into week 14 and then moving forward. The list of the 9 favorites per wager attack to win MVP right now. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tua, CMC, Tyreek Hill, CJ Stroud. All right. I want to go in order.
All right.
I don't want to say who your pick is, what you like. Let's make a case for and against each player.
Okay. Should we start with 4? Dak Prescott?
Yeah, let's go with Dak 4. Why is Dak Prescott the league MVP?
Okay. First off, because he gets that Cowboys bump by always being on ESPN. They will be the most talked about team. He will be the most talked about player just because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. That play, like we're taking everything into consideration here. That plays a huge factor in you being able to win this award. It's kind of like on a silver platter for him. He has pretty much diced up every single team. He threw up 404 against your Giants. That was a meaningless game. But hey, you gotta, in games that you are going to win, you got a stat pad. So what I'm seeing here is that he did a good job stat padding against some smaller, opponents. Now, you can't lose to the Cardinals early on in the year. And that is where we all lost hope with Dak Prescott. Am I right? This is where we were like, oh shit, same old Cowboys. They can't even beat,
a
Josh
team that's
Dobbs.
tanking, that wants Caleb. Yeah.
And so the headlines read really negative, and then they got railed by the 49ers. But that all happened early on enough for him to have gone on a run here in the last 6 games where it's like, oh, wow, Dak Prescott, can lead his Cowboys to possibly the first seed in the NFC, which they definitely need that by and they need home field advantage. So he's got like this path that I definitely see is a lot stronger than the next person we'll bring up in like Brock Purdy. Like I think his path is more, like I said, solid. It's like a yellow brick road with Wizard of Oz.
I agree with a lot of what you said. To add to that, You're right. I talked on the Monday show how I think no one is playing quarterback better than Jordan Love the last 3 weeks. Over the last 7 games, there might not be anyone playing quarterback better than Dak. 21 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. They lost 1 time during that span, so the Cowboys are 6-1. It was a razor thin loss to the Eagles, where they had the ball at the end. You're right that they're on primetime often. They're leading every sports talk show, whether it's negative or positive. They're being brought up. Right? Some people are like me, where let's see them in January. Right. Other people are like, oh, this is the Cowboys' year. We don't know yet. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. I think a couple things play against him.
Okay.
The loss to the Cardinals is pretty rough, right? Because you were a 16-point favorite and you lost by 12. You had 1 interception. You were sacked twice. You only threw 1 touchdown in that game, 249 passing yards. And then you threw 3 interceptions against the Niners in a marquee game of the year type of game. And then you lost to the Eagles, but the Eagles, they didn't lose because of him, bro. 29-44, 374, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times. His quarterback rating is 108.3. He has 26 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, but it is a regular season award.
Yes.
So I can't say, oh, he's not the MVP because I don't think they're going to do well in January. That don't matter.
Mm.
Do you think they could win the NFC East? Because I think that's something that would need to happen in order for him to win MVP.
So we do these shows, right, every week. And this is the fun thing that we get to do and go back and clip out these special moments, right? Because we brought up that Christian McCaffrey this past week, this was his primetime game to make a case for him to win the award. This week, Dak Prescott playing the Eagles is his marquee matchup. This is your ticket to solidifying the award. But you got to beat the Eagles convincingly. And I think they will. Like I already can envision with the way that the Eagles secondary played last week that Dak Prescott goes for 350, 3 touchdowns, and CeeDee Lamb has another 150-yard receiving game. Like, I know this is going to happen. And I think after the Cowboys go back and they watch the film from the first game, there's certain things that you just can't do against the Eagles. Like, you can't run the ball against the Eagles. Like, it's very tough. Took the 49ers a whole quarter to figure out, oh, we got to,
dink and dunk, West Coast offense, slants. Yeah.
And so this is a game where Dak Prescott has literally the switch to say, I can win this award or I have officially eliminated myself from winning this award. But it's this week. Really.
No,
and if they win this week, they will win the division.
Yeah. I mean, they tie them. If they beat the Eagles, they tie them for the division.
Overall.
And then it's whatever happens over the next couple of weeks. But I will say that the Eagles have 2 games left against the Giants. And all they do is beat the shit out of the Giants. So that's probably, and they play Arizona too. So their last 3 games are Giants, Arizona, Giants for Philly.
Wow.
So even though they're in this murderer's row right now in the middle of it.
It's going to get nice.
Yeah. And you know what, man? That's something just like, and I guess we'll talk about Jalen Hurts next, even though it's not in the order that we want to go in.
He's in the top 9.
I think it's something we need to talk about moving forward when it comes to betting. The letdown spot, even if you're a good team, because San Fran beat the shit out of them. We're not taking anything away from San Fran, but how many emotional highs can you hit consecutively in like the regular season if you're Philly?
I agree with you.
You had the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bills, Niners, Cowboys. It's like there's no like down period in that stretch.
Mm-mm.
And that's what I think also happened too.
Yeah. I as a ex-football coach, football player, you just know how much of a toll that takes on your entire team. But I think Philly, very similar to the Chiefs, like you have like enough wins early on to solidify, hey, we'll be at the dance at the end and you guys will be afraid of us. And now they can start playing like the health game. Jalen Hurts, okay, he is making it a point that he's never coming out of the game. Very few quarterbacks in the league sprint to the locker room and this happened this past week in the 49ers game where he sprints to the locker room. You think he's done and then he ends up finishing off the game. So he, in my eyes, is doing exactly what a MVP quarterback would do. And I never am ever going to let somebody think that I'm injured or that I'm not in control and I'm willing to lay my body out on the line for my team. It does wear on you though. And the way that the Eagles play, it's for sure going to wear on them because similar to Josh Allen and the way that we feel about like, oh, Josh Allen he's only the run game for Buffalo. You know what I mean? They have Latavius Murray and James Cook. Not really. Josh Allen will lead the team in rushing. Jalen Hurts does a lot of the same things. But he never gets hit.
Yeah.
Doesn't it amaze you? He just finds his way to the sideline. He'll literally sprint 20 yards sideways. Like he won't get a single yard, but he's not going to get tackled. Those are little things, dude, that bode well, at least for me, in him being able to win that award because he's everything for that Eagles team.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for him. He's been the most clutch quarterback in football too. They've had a lot of
close
games that
quarter
they're
games.
on the good side of it. He was the runner-up last year, so maybe there is some recency bias,
Mhm.
right? Recency bias. The knock against him is that if he is hurt, like last year, he suffered a kind of like a shoulder issue, and then he sat out a couple of games, and then they played him against the Giants. I remember they played him against the Giants, and people were saying, "Yo, why are you playing him? Giants have nothing to play for really because they had already clinched the wild card, and Philly was already the 1 seed." It's like, yeah, but if you don't play him, they have the bye week. The next time he's going to step on the field would be the divisional round, and then that's like 5 weeks he hasn't played football.
That's bad.
And that's bad. That's a bad look because now you're in playoff atmosphere. If you're a little rusty, you can't afford to take a half off and then get going. So I think with Jalen Hurts, it's interesting that the first 2 names we talk about, they're playing each other this weekend. Sunday Night Football, marquee prime time. It's kind of like college football. Where you can't afford to suffer a loss in November.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an MVP candidate, you can't have a bad game now. And if your team does win, it just elevates you a lot more. So a Hurts-Dak matchup, that's going to be the talk of the town this week. Them two being on Sunday Night Football. Also, you got the division and the home field and all the playoff ramifications. I think this game is going to be fucking epic.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a close game last time they played.
Yep.
And the knock, I think, on Jalen Hurts would be if they don't win the division. And like his passing numbers are not like what they were last year. He's getting a lot done. Like, dude, he's my fantasy quarterback. And there's so many games where he'll put up like 25 points. They're like, dude, he didn't even throw the ball well. But then you look, he scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that needs to be accounted for too, because he has double-digit touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
So that's my knock on Hurts. He has close to 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've asked you this before. How do you feel about interceptions? Are they all graded the same?
No, they aren't all graded the same.
Do you knock a quarterback if he throws a lot of interceptions?
No.
I don't either.
I mean,
I don't want you to throw red zone interceptions.
Correct.
If it's 3rd and 13, you're trying to make a play, you throw a pick. Especially if it's down the field. That's a punt.
I don't
like
like
a nice return.
Correct. Throwing interceptions on first downs. I'm not a fan of that.
Oh,
you know, like let's run the ball a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's make some plays that aren't like that bad of a calculated risk. But no, they're not bad in my opinion. I do think though that as far as winning an award, you better have a good TD to INT ratio. Like you better be sitting at a 3-1, 4-1 for you to be in consideration. Because if you're teetering around the 1.5 or 2-1, it's just a quick, easy stat to look at that might eliminate you. What I was going to say though about Jalen Hurts is, and this is what Dak has a leg up on him, is Jalen Hurts hasn't been blowing people out. And I know you can't necessarily blow somebody out when you're only playing on one side of the field. Your defense also has to, do their part. But I feel like the defense has done their part, but he doesn't. That Eagles offense isn't like a big play offense. It's a methodical, grind it down. It's not going to be pretty, but they're going to get the job done at the end. That hurts him. Yeah, you want what I'm already thinking is like the Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb go ball, as opposed to AJ Brown slant. You know what I mean? Man, that's going to be a good game. I do think it's a Cowboys blowout, by the way.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. I had to say it.
Brock Purdy. The case for Brock Purdy. On the surface, the numbers are as good as anyone's in the league.
Mm-hmm.
About 70% completion.
Yep.
3,100 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He has better numbers than Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen. They don't have stats like that. He's hot right now. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions with wins over Dallas, Jacksonville, and Philly. On his resume, like even though it's not consecutive, it's like those are the matchups that he played really well. And yeah, he has an unbelievable supporting cast, but he's also the trigger man behind that. And he's holding up. Like he's played well with the exception of the 3-game stretch that they lost in a row. And I think the case against him is that he needs everything to be perfect. I don't blame him for having the scenario that he has in San Francisco, but I think it's going to be held against him where if you don't have Debo, you haven't won without Debo. If you don't have Trent Williams, you haven't won without Trent Williams. And that goes for a lot of teams. You take away a star weapon and a star left tackle, that's going to be an issue. But I think he's receiving a lot of love because of the monster win that he had against Philly. I still don't think he's the most valuable player on his team.
He is not. He is not. But like you say, he's a trigger man.
And who's played the best for that team all year round? It's been the running back. Because like Purdy, he had 125 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown against Cleveland, loss. Against Minnesota, 2 interceptions, 272 yards passing. Against the Bengals, 365 yards passing, but they were trailing a lot of that game, 2 interceptions. And then from there, he's been on fire. 3 touchdowns, no picks. 3 touchdowns, no picks. 1 touchdown, 1 interception against the Seahawks, and then the 4 touchdowns that he had against Philly. I get all that, but I think that he just hasn't been the most valuable player for his team. How could he be the most valuable player for the league?
Right.
And I think this bias against non-quarterbacks, it's a weird award to give it to Brock.
It is blasphemy that he is tied for the best odds.
Yeah,
in my opinion, like
I don't get that. Now, I will say this, bro. Storyline, narrative, dope, right? Mr. Irrelevant. Year 2, everyone that listens to the show knows that I get pretty fucking stimulated when it comes to second-year quarterbacks for like odds, right? Like Lamar won it, Mahomes won it, Carson Wentz was in his second year and then he got hurt, but he was like minus 400 before he blew out his ACL.
Crazy.
In that game against the Rams. So there's something about the second-year quarterback. Like I'm already telling you from now, like CJ Stroud is probably going to be the most heavily wagered guy to win MVP next year, just because he's already an MVP candidate. We haven't gone to him yet, but he's in the top 9. And then year 2 with him, it's gonna be like, holy shit, you have all that momentum. So I think my final take on Purdy is because the 49ers get hot every time around this time of year. They had the monster win against Philly and what was billed as the best game of the year. I think people are giving him credit for it, but you're also going to have a lot of people discrediting him because of the supporting staff.
I'm one of them.
Yeah,
I am one of them. This is shocking to me that he is this high up. I could see him at maybe a 6-1. I could see him maybe at an 8-1, right? Give me a break, 3-1. But that's just recency. That's a lot of Niner fans that are throwing crazy money at this dude that, you know, they are buying into the storyline. Well, hey, listen, the one thing I do know is the 49ers are completely based on their surrounding cast. Anyone drops off and, you know, he loses 1 or 2 of those games, it's over for you. Like it was over for you. Honestly, when you lost to Cincinnati, you dropped 3 straight and everyone was like, oh, that's just what you are. Now you're on a pretty historic run here. I don't know. He'd have to put up at least, can we make this a requirement? You got to throw for 400 yards at least once in the season if you're going to win the MVP award.
Yo, I just think as a whole, for you to be the MVP from week 1 to 18, you can't have a bad game.
Agreed.
Like, all right. And if you throw 202 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's like your worst game on your resume, cool. I'll give you 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Like you're going to throw picks, but he just hasn't been from start to finish.
You got to lead the league in something.
The MVP. Yeah, I do like that too.
You got to lead the league in something.
I do like that too.
What the
and I feel like that's going to, I want to pivot over to Mahomes because I want to make a case for him to be the MVP.
Yes.
Okay. How shitty are the receivers he's playing with?
Bad, bro.
it's
Most drops in the league.
he's having a good season if he wasn't named Patrick Mahomes. It's the fact that his name is Patrick Mahomes that everyone is losing their mind over the numbers that he's putting up. But he's having a pretty solid year. 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,100 passing yards. Probably should have 3,600 passing yards, leading the league if his guys catch those passes. And then you're probably looking at another, 4 or 5 touchdowns. And dude, there's been 4 interceptions he's thrown where it just hit off the wide receiver's hands, picked the other way.
Yeah.
So the case for Mahomes is he's having a really good year. He's not having a great year, but I think it's because of the weapons around him.
You're talking 4 plays. Here's the thing. The MVP voters, they see all those plays that fuck up, right? So like in their head, they're like, oh my gosh. They're thinking of all the same things we're thinking of. Mahomes was dotting people up on 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, to go ahead and win the game. Like, is it, it's just the losses. And I wouldn't even consider a lot of them like bad on his part. But fuck. If he didn't have those, or if he didn't lose to Green Bay this past week, was pretty bad. He threw for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. Like, he's not getting sacked a lot. But I don't know. Like, there's no weapons. There's no exclusive weapons for him to exploit. Because Kelsey's nowhere in the award.
He has the worst weapons of all the quarterbacks on this list.
Yep.
Collectively.
Mm-hmm.
Philly got way better weapons. Dallas got way better weapons.
The Niners.
Niners definitely got way better weapons. Baltimore.
The Dolphins.
Maybe the Texans, you could argue, especially with Tank Dell going down. I think because Tank Dell went down.
Yeah.
Because they had a really good thing with him. Nico Collins put up like 190 last week. Like, Nico Collins has been balling.
Oh, I got him on fantasy. Love it.
Yeah, same. That's my case for Mahomes. He's not going to win it because he's on pace for career lows in passing yards, touchdowns. And like, he hasn't really had those like, wow, Mahomes magic moments. He hasn't had the crazy comeback. Right? Against the Packers, he threw the pick also. That's the case against him. The case for him is he's playing with the worst collection of weapons in the league, probably. And a lot of it has nothing to do with him.
And that's a part of the award.
That's true.
That's a part of the award.
Yeah, you got to elevate. Yeah.
That's a part of the award. You know, it sucks because literally when you said those 4 plays that ruined that award for him, I mean, you're talking about the highlights that people would remember.
Yeah, a game-winning touchdown Monday Night Football against the Eagles, right? And then you have, Thursday Night Football to open up the year with no Kelsey, no Chris Jones. If he would have,
Kadarius Toney drops a wide open pass on a big third down and 20. It was like only the Chiefs and the Bills can get the first down here. You know what I mean?
You're confident that on a 3rd and 20, they could go and get it.
The live line does not change. Yeah. They're still predicted to beat you. But unfortunate. I don't think there's any more case to make for Patrick Mahomes. Now, if he does, let's just say he goes off on this back half here, 5 touchdown passes a game, lights it up. They don't lose. You could see him sneak into like maybe getting 2nd. But I don't know.
I mean, it's there for everybody if they could get hot to close out the year. And he's definitely in that discussion too. I think also team success has a lot to do with it. And I think the team that's best suited to be the 1 seed is Baltimore. They have the most complete team in the league, in the AFC for sure. Yeah. I was going to say the league and then I thought it was San Fran and Philly.
Yep.
Definitely in the AFC. He has the playmakers to put up the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He's already on pace for career highs in completion percentage and passing yards. He's about to get over 800 yards rushing.
Yep.
Also, so he is the dual threat. And with Mark Andrews now away from the offense, if he does continue to be productive, because we know how valuable Mark Andrews is. Like Mark Andrews to Lamar is what Kelsey is to
100%.
Mahomes. Like that's how their relationship is on and off the field, and how much he relies on him to just be out there as a decoy. He's going to go to him in the red zone. So without him there, if he could continue to be productive, I think that's a good case for him.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that Lamar needs to do on the back half here, because I think once you win the award once, the only way you ever win that award again is if you do the same exact shit or better.
Yeah.
And he is not there. Now, what I will say could get him there is he only has 5 rushing touchdowns this year, and we know Lamar as the untouchable dual threat quarterback that, we really thought that was going to be his archetype. But then so many reporters were like, oh, do we really have a running back at quarterback? And then he's like, well, fuck them. Like, now I got to start passing the ball. And he's really evolved. I mean, out of all the quarterbacks in the league, I don't think there's been a quarterback that's made a better and quicker evolution than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
He needs to, if he wants to win the award, though, he needs to start getting jiggy with it on some linebackers. Like, you need to make people look stupid, highlight real plays, continue to win out. Like you said, they're the most complete team in the AFC. Hear me out on this crazy betting thing that I did. I bet the Super Bowl exacta this year.
Ooh.
So I bet the Lions to defeat the Ravens in the Super Bowl. It was at 1,900 to 1.
190.
Yeah. 190 to 1. That has now shot down to 62 to 1. So I'm like,
yeah.
And I need Lamar Jackson to keep playing on this path here. Any chance of them getting the number 1 seed, right? They're tied for that number 1 seed in the East.
Yeah, they're tied.
Or in the AFC.
They're tied with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
The knock against Lamar is he has 13 passing touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get close, like over 25.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly just can't make it based on the numbies right now alone. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think his numbers are going to justify being the MVP.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of games where, like against Seattle, they blew out Seattle. He had no passing touchdowns. The running backs just went crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Against Arizona, running backs went crazy. It's just something where he just hasn't had those, like against the Lions, he went bananas. 357 passing yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think it's the numbers that are going to hold back Lamar. That will be the case against them.
Yeah. And he's like also been a Lamar Jackson this year where it's like, which Lamar are we going to get today?
Yeah.
Are we going to get the Lamar that's mobile? Are we going to get the Lamar that is kind of inaccurate in the pocket? Yeah. Are we going to get him rolling out, finding people? And I really like him to win the award again next year. I think they like year 2 with an offensive coordinator, gets me stimulated just like you get stimulated by second year quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Second year OC. I know you. You've come over to my house. You met my wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're bonding a little bit more.
We're,
the weapons.
Soulmates.
Yeah.
In a way. Football soulmates.
Yeah. Second year for sure, man. That's a real thing. It's a real thing. The continuity too. That's why I was excited about Daniel Jones a little bit with Brian Daboll, even though that blew up really quick after like week 2.
Yeah.
But what can you do, man? What can you do? All right, Tua.
Yes.
As we start to wrap up this conversation on the MVPs for and against. Another guy who I think hasn't been the most valuable player on his team.
Oh, he is just placed right here because of one man. Tyreek Hill. You hope that if Tua won this award, he would on the nameplate say, "Can you also put Tyreek Hill there?" Because without him, this wouldn't happen.
Tyreek Hill is having I kind of want to skip over Tua.
Yes. Should we just get to the man that could do what we've been saying could be done?
Yeah. I just think, I really do. And it'll be a really cool take. I'll be bringing up the old videos that we've been talking about since like July about McCaffrey and then also about Tyreek Hill the last couple of weeks. But I just think the MVP has not been a quarterback this year, man. I think all things considered, I think it got to be either McCaffrey or Tyreek. And if they continue on this pace, Tyreek Hill has clearly been the most valuable player on the Miami Dolphins. He has 12 touchdowns, 1,481 yards, 93 catches. I mean, what more can you say? He's putting up 157, 102, 146, 112, 163, 181, 40, but a touchdown, 58 yards, 62, touchdown, 215 yards. Like start to finish, he's been the most valuable player on that team. And when you sort of parlay the two, Tua, he's not having 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but he's had a couple pick sixes. He's not played well against anyone with a winning record. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Bills. All their wins are against teams that are below 500 or worse. So he's beating up on shitty teams. Now you could say the same thing about Tyreek, right? Because he is on the same team. But with the quarterback, I think the perception of it is completely different. So from start to finish, it's just been Tyreek Hill. And you could still get him at 20-1, 15-1. I think
15-1 is where I saw that most recent.
I think you missed the ball on that. 2 weeks ago, it was 60-1.
Yep.
When I bet McCaffrey at 50-1, he was 120-1. It's clearly one of them two for Offensive Player of the Year, but I think it should be one of them two being MVP.
I mean, there's no other year to do it. I mean, there's literally only one other quarterback that we haven't brought up, but they won't give him the award. I think and I'll bring him up, CJ Stroud. If CJ Stroud goes off every game for the rest of the season and he leads the Texans to the playoffs, I still don't think he wins the award.
Yeah.
I just think they slighted against rookies. And he's had an amazing year, CJ Stroud. I mean, 3,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He didn't throw a pick for the first 7 weeks of the season. But even though that we just brought up him, a person who's been playing consistent all the way throughout, so is Tyreek Hill. Here's the thing with Tyreek that I think he has had more consistency than Christian McCaffrey. I just think there's too many weapons on the 49ers, and that Christian McCaffrey this past game you can rip up that ticket. Do you feel the same way? Had it been that the Eagles tackled Deebo Samuels on the 5-yard line
and then McCaffrey scored him,
dude, after I saw Deebo do what he did, I was like, those are pride plays that those safeties and corners make at the end where people are like, oh,
he's a football player.
That guy hustles. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn straight he hustles. He fucking hustled my bet.
High motor guy, right? At the draft.
Give me Christian McCaffrey on the 3-yard line, baby. Oh my God. The Eagles fucked that up.
The case
sucks.
Yeah. The case against Tyreek Hill is that it's a quarterback award. Even if we want to make the case otherwise, we can't be naive to it. I will say, if he gets to 2,000 yards, has literally a historic season. He has 12 touchdowns. I'm asking for a lot. What I'm about to say now. But dude, if he gets 2K and gets 20 touchdowns, and they're the 1 seed, and Tua maybe gets 14 total touchdowns over the next 5 weeks, but 8 of them go to Tyreek. And maybe Tua has, it's going to start getting a little colder. Maybe Tua has 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Yeah, I was about to say, we do need Tua to fuck up a little bit here. We do need him to
make bro, mistakes. If he gets 2,000, I feel like it still might not be enough for people to vote for him. That's why I think he needs to get to 20 touchdowns. And it's wild because that means he needs to get 8 touchdowns over the next 5 games.
Damn, he's not even leading. He's not even the touchdown leader on his own team. That's hurts him.
That does hurt him too. But it's a running back. It's a running back,
and he's close.
Yeah,
Raheem Mostert has 16. He has 12. McCaffrey has 17.
And I'll say this too, bro. I gave out McCaffrey 20-1 for Offensive Player of the Year. I think Tyreek got that.
Yeah.
Bias aside, ticket aside, pride aside.
Doesn't he just seem like a character that would be able to do it? Is this what Calvin Johnson was missing? Was like his own podcast, a little bit of swagger, touchdown celebrations, backflips with GoPros. He is doing a phenomenal job marketing himself every Sunday as a player that seems like he's very important. I would go on a limb to say he might be this can go into it. Jersey sales. I think Tyreek Hill jersey sales have for sure gone up this year, but it won't compete against Travis Kelce. I just realized that.
Yeah, it won't. But dude, also Tyreek, the Dolphin teal jersey is sick. That's a dope jersey.
I'm a fan of the white one.
The white one?
Yeah. I'd love the color pattern.
Yeah, the color pattern is dope. I think it's my favorite in the league. So
he could do it, man.
I would love for you guys to chime in on the conversation at Veterans Minimum on all social media outlets as you can find us and contact us. You'll see the social clips on there too. And let us know what you think. Give us a case for and against some of these players. Can I give you an outrageous one? It'll segue into our game of the week.
Go ahead.
All right. All I did was shit on Buffalo for months. And shout out to the 716. Old Dirt McGurk got a soft spot up there to my Bengal nation. Buff State Bengals D3, baby. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Elmwood Avenue. The boy was out there. Shout out to Zonies. You ever have a Zoney?
I've not had a Zoney.
Oh, bro. Zoney is like, it's a calzone.
Yeah.
Right? And the place was called, it's like a Western New York franchise, Zonies. I don't even know if they're around anymore, bro, but anything you could fantasize that you would want to eat, they would put in a fucking calzone.
That sounds
like strawberry shortcake calzone. Obviously the pizza stuff, but like spinach pie calzone for the Greeks, chicken parm. I'm on a diet now. I can't be talking like this, but I'm talking about craziness. So I do love Buffalo. I do love the 716. And I've been a little hard on you guys.
Rightfully so,
right? Well, George, why have I already bet them to make the playoffs at plus 390? I bet them to win the AFC at plus 30, or plus 3,000, so 30-1. And then I took a stab on them to win the Super Bowl, 60-1.
Wow.
I say all this because Josh Allen, 60-1 to win MVP. Just hear me out. Please just hear me out before you guys start yelling. The schedule sucks. The schedule is not kind for old Buffalo. It starts this week. They play the Chiefs. Then they host the Cowboys. They go to the Chargers where, it's going to be on Christmas weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be in SoFi, 70% Bills Mafia, people just getting slammed through tables and shit.
Yep.
All right. Then you got home Patriots at Miami, which who knows? Maybe Miami is resting. We don't know.
I don't think it's tough. If you want to win the award, it's good.
Okay. But I'm also talking about, because I talked about it with Kenny on Monday, but then I made the bets today.
Okay.
I was like, I have to, dude. I love around this time of year, who's a team that can maybe go on a run? I put in my mind these like path to victories, right? I start cooking up. I start getting
Giants 2008.
2007, bro. That was a good year. Come on. 2008 was when Plaxico shot himself and it still hurts.
R.I.P.
To his career.
Wait,
yeah.
His
career was kind of over after that. Yeah. And so
that's what you start doing. You start 2007.
Start shaking.
Can I find the Bills?
Josh Allen's numbers. They're not that bad, bro. 30, he's accounted for 33 total touchdowns. They're 5th in the league in scoring, 4th in the league in total yards. He is clearly the be-all, end-all. And look at the marquee games that he has. And it's going to start with Philly. Because if he does go on this run, even though they lost to Philly, people are going to be like, dude, that's the best game he played all year, even though they lost. Like,
correct.
He went toe to toe with Hurts on the road, inclement weather.
Yep.
And now say he goes in there in Kansas City and he beats Kansas City, then he beats Dallas, gets hot, beats Miami. Those are 3 Super Bowl contenders, right?
Mhm.
Gonna light it up against New England because you're gonna need the stat padding, the 6 touchdown game.
Yes.
The knock against him is that he's a turnover machine. And that's
100%.
going to suck going into this game because Kansas City got a really good defense. I think Kansas City has a top 5 defense in the league. And he leads the league in interceptions. He has 13. 2 off his career worst total. He's lost 3 fumbles. But I think if they could get hot, bro,
Yes.
the path is crazy because I don't think Kansas City is as intimidating as years past because of the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
If they play Miami in the playoffs, it's a team that we know we've dominated under Josh Allen. We've always done well against them. So what? We got to go to South Beach. That actually works out better for us. It's going to be 80 degrees. We'll be chilling. It won't be 19 in Buffalo like it was. Yo, Buffalo in January was not a good time for the boy. It sucked. But I think there's a path there. So the first round, they maybe play Jacksonville as a 7th seed. You play Jacksonville. You get through that, you play Miami as the 1 seed.
Who you could have already beat 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. You smoked them when it mattered back in like September, October when they played each other earlier. I don't know, man. It's just something where a lot of times in betting, I'm trying to find numbers that stand out. I try to paint scenarios in my head for a run that a team could maybe go on. If you're going to make that bet, you got to make it now because if they beat Kansas City, all of those are going to dip down.
Chopped in half, for sure.
So I think taking a stab on Buffalo now, even though I've been trashing them for 6 months, I think now is the time to do it. Which brings me into this game, though, because this is going to sound super hypocritical. It's almost impossible not to bet Mahomes in this spot.
Am I right?
7-0 in his career off a loss in the regular season. And he is, and it would only be in the regular season because if he lost in the playoffs, they wouldn't play again.
Correct.
So congratulations, Nick, for pointing the obvious. 15-5-1 against the spread when he is a favorite of 3 points or less or an underdog in his career. The line right now is at -2 per wager attack.
I've seen that start to shoot down. It started at 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it's been incrementally working its way down.
And when you look at the betting splits, Bills getting the tickets, Chiefs getting the money. 54% of the tickets are coming in on Buffalo, while 67% of the money is coming in on Kansas City.
I really like everything you've laid out there, Nick. I'm not just saying that just to be like, George doesn't know how to use other adjectives, but
Dude, let's get on.
I love the path.
I want to, we need to do a bet together that we could like celebrate together. Because even though
this one, is it the Bills? I'm a fan. I'm a fan of maybe not to win the Super Bowl. I like them to win the AFC. I really like that one. What was it, 30-1?
Yeah.
You said? Yeah. $100. I put 100, you put 100?
That's a nice juicy ticket.
Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it. We in?
We in. No, I love this.
Well, let's have something and everyone get on board, bro.
I love this because now
listen,
all year
we know each other well. We've spent money on way worse.
100%. Yeah.
Right, so what's 100?
I mean, I paid for Uber Eats that was fucking cold when it arrived to my door yesterday. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I've spent worse money. Incredible Uber Eats. 7 hours to get my food. Nuts. I love this, Nick. You know what else is cold? Buffalo's cold. Just like my food was. And it starts now. You have to defeat the Chiefs.
And look,
I don't necessarily like the MVP, but like
MVP is a stretch.
Yeah.
Because he'll probably still turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Because that's just how he plays. He's a gunslinger. But dude, they're coming off a bye week too. They're coming off a bye week, and I think it came at a right time for them.
The Cowboys will have been coming off of really hard game. Then the Bills catch them at the right time.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's, and again, though, I'll tell you this. I'm saying everything I just said about Buffalo, but we're probably going to put Kansas City in circa.
Yeah.
You have to take that number there too. So it might be a little bit of like a hedge.
You don't think that line finishes any higher than 2, do you?
No, I think the line is probably going to stay. I think it'll close at 1.5.
Yeah, that's what
You see a lot of 1.5s lately.
Mm.
A lot of 1.5s, 2s. But I think that's something where I'm going to have to be on Kansas City.
It's not hypocritical because I do think like here's the thing, and this kind of bodes in our favor. Josh Allen has defeated Patrick Mahomes. He's 2-1 in the regular season, and then Mahomes is 2-0 in the postseason when they play. So like technically, Josh Allen is Patrick Mahomes' daddy in the regular season. I'll say it. Josh Allen owns Patrick Mahomes when it doesn't really matter. That's that.
Yeah. And I think you're catching Kansas City at a point where it's not as intimidating as it once was. I really don't think that they're the same team. And look, man, Buffalo checks, you have the quarterback. That was another thing why last year around this time, I doubled down on the Packers. Packers were 120-1. Remember they had to win outright in order to make the playoffs? And they won like 3 straight games and then they lost to Detroit.
Yep.
And I just think that the path is there for them. Now, look, they could go out there and they're probably going to get smoked by Kansas City, which is why I think that's why I called it a hedge, because if you make these bets now on Buffalo and they do win, those numbers are all going to get cut in half. You feel really good about that ticket. And then also for them to make the playoffs, you're getting a plus number. I think it's crazy because the teams that are ahead of them are Pittsburgh, who's playing quarterback for them, Trubisky. Oh, enjoy that.
Right.
Cleveland.
Joe Flacco.
Come on, man. CJ Stroud with the Texans. Cool. But that's three teams.
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
The Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's a path for them to sneak in, because I think Cleveland and Pittsburgh is going to regress without their quarterbacks. And then you have Josh Allen, like 9-8. They could still get to 9-8, and that might be enough to make the playoffs. And then I'm telling you, bro, it'll be like a pick 'em against Jacksonville. It'll be a 3-point spread against Miami in South Beach.
Can you imagine going back-to-back weeks to play away road playoff games in Florida?
Yeah.
You
probably what's going to happen to Buffalo.
That's very nice.
And they'll probably just stay down there too.
Do you ever, I know this is like really random, but like, did you ever think about teams that play in like Florida? Like if they actually like had a dome that could produce snow and like rain, like simulations
to get you prepared for if you go somewhere else. I mean, rains in Florida
I'm saying
all the
like,
time.
I'm saying like, okay, 1 week, like we plan it out in our head. We know we're going to have a light drizzle coming down in our dome.
Oh, just to mess with the other team.
Now dome games. Yeah. Like imagine like a waterfall shower type situation.
Dude, there was a Madden game that used to
sick.
You used to like toggle with the settings and you could have like a game in August and your Madden franchise was snow. You're like, how is that possible? That's not a possibility. They just have it rain in like a dome.
I know that was really stupid, but I'm just like,
well, I mean, bro,
it'll be done eventually. Dude.
Atlanta used to pump crowd noise into their stadium.
The Saints still do.
Yeah. So that's kind of
Super Dome ain't that loud.
Yeah, that's kind of tampering with things. So I do think Kansas City bounces back and they win. And again, I think it's a good spot to come in on the Buffalo Bills now, because if they win that, their odds get cut in half. But then if Kansas City, like I'm telling you, we already spoke about it with Kenny. It's hard not to take Mahomes in this spot.
I have bet the exact same way that you talked about. I said it on a show that I was on yesterday. I was like, yeah, anytime that Patrick Mahomes doesn't really have to do too much, they just have to get a win at home. Come on now.
The NFC East bar fight. Cowboys 3.5-point favorites against the Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys are getting 70% of the tickets. Eagles are getting 65% of the money. You have pros versus Joes. So anytime you see tickets or bets as like buzzwords, those are like the ticket amounts and the amount of bets that are coming in. That's usually the public. Money is like the pro bettors.
Got it.
So that's always like a cool indicator.
That's relatively close there. You said that, 70% of the tickets coming in on the Cowboys. And you said 60%
of the money, 65% of the money.
Yeah. So do you normally find them to be that close?
No,
in both directions? Or is this like a rare, This is it's a heavily bet game on both sides.
Yeah, because you have two popular teams, two popular fan bases, two really good teams also. There's a lot on the line. It's a Sunday night football game, so these numbers are probably going to get even more skewed like a half hour before kickoff when you look at these numbers. But I think this is whenever you have a pros versus Joes game, this is an average thing that you would see. 70% of the tickets, way more of the tickets on Dallas as opposed to Philly.
Yep.
But then a lot of the pros, and it's what I always talk about with Philly. Philly is coming off an embarrassing loss because they got smoked at home. If you're a good team, you got to back Philly here because the good teams bounce back. I think it's a 3-point game either way.
Mm-hmm.
And catching 3.5 right now on Wager Attack.
Yeah.
So at the time that this goes up, it might not be. So I apologize, but maybe buy a half point. And either way, right? If you like the Cowboys at -3, buy it down to 2.5. If you like Philly at +3, buy it up to 3.5.
Buying points is definitely something I've done this year that has helped out tremendously. Just getting it right where exactly you want it to be. I think that's where a bettor really takes it into like their own hand. Like, no, I'm making this calculated decision, not just because I'm being told, but you want that control. You know, it's kind of like the exchanges that, but your buddy came on here and talked about.
Oh yeah,
you're in control.
Yeah, David Hill. That was a really good episode, man. You guys liked that one. That did pretty well. I think, in response to what you were saying about like buying the points, it's a pretty polarizing conversation. Like some people are like, it doesn't matter, because over a long period of time, if you buy the half point. And you start like really getting into the nitty gritty.
The house is still taking out a good chunk of what your winnings would be, right?
Yeah.
So like you have to find ways to get points where you're only losing a $1.20, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And some people try to middle games. Like this would be one where you would try to middle. Say you bet the Eagles at +3.5, and then Saturday morning you wake up and you happen to see Dallas 2.5. Some people would try to take Dallas at 2.5 and hope the game ends Dallas by 3, so you hit both bets. Dude, I've been betting for like 15 years, legit.
Have you ever been able to do it?
One time I've middled the game. It was it was a Chiefs Broncos game. This was with Mahomes. I landed on 7. I took the Chiefs early at 6.5, and then it got to 7.5, and then I bet the Broncos, and the game landed like 27-20. I was like, holy shit, I'm the fucking man. Don't talk to me. Talk to me nicely, not twice.
Wow.
One time it's happened.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to do.
No, for sure. Damn. I kind of want to try to.
But also, it's cool when you get it done, bro. You're like, oh, dude, yeah, literally, I'm the man.
Real talk though.
Yeah.
I will be live betting the shit out of this game after I see the way that the Cowboys come out on that first drive. And if it ends up the way that I think it will end up, I will take the Cowboys at an alternate line of -10.5, because I think the Cowboys are either going to blow them out or they will get blown out. Like, I don't think this game is close whatsoever. It'll be a big game that everyone wants to watch, but we're going to feel the same way we did versus the Niners. If the Cowboys run the ball on the first possession and I see that they are not able to move against that Eagles defensive line, then I'm taking the Eagles. Like, I think the Eagles will have had them in a situation where they can actually win the game, which is controlling the clock, having the ball. But if the Cowboys come out and have like a 4-play, 78-yard, 2-minute, 5-second drive, maybe even like a 1-minute, 45-second drive. No, the Cowboys are going to rout them. And it's just tough. The Eagles are coming off of, just a plethora of important games. So they're exhausted, bro. And I don't think this one, like, are you taking the Eagles?
3.5, I'll probably take Philly.
You're putting in the contest or avoid?
I mean, if it's one of the 5 games that we narrowed down, like if we like the Eagles. If there's 5 other games we really like, probably avoid it. Look, man, we were all in on the Eagles, and then obviously what happened. And I did even tell Kenny, I was like, I wish we just enjoyed that game.
Mm-hmm.
but also Eagles at home as an underdog. It just felt like a spot that I would take that again, man.
Oh, no.
If they play again in the
How
playoffs,
could
I'm
you
probably
not?
taking Philly again.
Right.
And hopefully they give us a line like that. But it's just one of those situational scenario betting spots that you kind of just have to take. So
Watch this. Brock Purdy gets hurt. Eagles have to travel to the 49ers. 49ers are 3-point dogs at home in the playoffs.
I feel different there.
Taking the Niners.
Tough, man.
You got to take home dogs. All right. I'm sorry. I
tough.
didn't mean to go
Yeah.
to fantasy world
No,
like that,
no,
but
no,
that's a possibility.
It definitely
It's a
is.
possibility.
Definitely is. I think I'm going to go with Philly, though.
Okay.
You're on Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas. And comfortably, too.
I would say like this is out of a lot of the games that I've been able to bet this year. This is one of my more confident plays.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I literally said I'll live bet them to, win by maybe 7.5, 6.5. Like I'll find that line. Or maybe sometimes on Boyd it offers the winning margin 6-13 or something.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that.
Be careful with those, man.
I know it's cheese. I'm fully aware it's cheese on the rat trap, but I'm like, I can map out possessions in my head pretty quick. Like football, like, okay, the Eagles will have logistically 5 more opportunities to score based on, my own little math percentages. They're going to score 3 of those times. Like I can play it out.
I love that you brought that up because it happens every year during the Super Bowl. A lot of props, people betting props, same game parlays, all 9. And I was watching the game. What Super Bowl was it? I was watching the Rams Bengals Super Bowl with all my friends. All my buddies were there. They were all rooting for the Bengals. Everyone knew I had a Rams futures. So like I'm putting this bet in, and it's like a $10 bet to win like $28,000. You want to hear the craziest thing though? I took the Rams minus 9.5, and then I took the Bengals in that same parlay plus 10.5. And if you remember the last drive, Jalen Ramsey almost gets a pick 6, but like loses his footing on like the out route. And I told my buddy, I was like, bro, if this game ends Rams by 10, it's like a 20. Dude, everything else hit. Odell, anytime. T. Higgins over 100. T. Higgins touchdown. Like everything else hit. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing this, going back and forth.
Oh my God.
My friend is like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, you know that bet that I put? He's like, yeah, the sucker bet. I was like, I know it's a sucker bet, bro, but let me have fun.
Yep.
Let me have fun. I know this $10 to win $28K. It's a sucker bet. I'm fully aware. You're going to tell me of all people that fucking talks about this? Yes, I know, but why? And I bring it to what you said. Like, as long as you know that they're dumb bets.
Fully aware.
Have a good time with it.
Yes. Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Just like the big pots that I'm about to go play after this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go enjoy myself.
Go get a spin on the roulette table and see what happens. All right. As we wrap up this episode, at Veterans Minimum, where you can find all things VM. Big ups to the members of the Patreon. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. Mahul Patel, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Plates, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Mike Wozniak, Nick Crummich, Thomas Robinson. Thank you all for your contributions. As you see here on the screen, for as little as $1 a month, you can support the Patreon. $5 a month, you get the betting picks. You get access to the Discord. $10 a month, you get access to the giveaways. And we're going to pay for the pay-per-view for someone next week for UFC.
Sick.
Really dope card. So we're going to pick a name out of the hat next week. What you decide to do with that $80 is your choice, but we're going to pay for the pay-per-view. So for December. And then we're probably going to give away something else too, because it's the holidays. And then the $20 tier, you get the shout out to get merch on discount. And then the $40 tier, you basically get everything else and you're a crazy SOB for being in the $40 tier. So with all that being said, at Nick Dais Tenors, you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. George?
At Mr. George Carmona at Gridiron Junkies for my football show, brother. That's it. My dad is literally right there. He's waiting out there. Shout out to Pops.
Let's go.
Pops
man.
rolled through today.
Yeah, you should have told him to come in here.
Yeah, it was mid-show.
I know you raised him better than this. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Next time we got to get him in here.
He's nice and healthy right now. He's standing on his feet. He's I love it. I love seeing my dad like this.
Let's go.
Retired life, dude. He hasn't got shit planned. He's like, I'm going to go see my boy outside. And plus it adds to the crowd. I mean, we had, what do you say, like 300 people stacked outside today? It keeps growing.
They were hanging from the rafters.
It keeps growing.
Like it's ECW in 1996.
Stephen A. Smith wishes he had that type of crowd.
We'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, beat of venison.
Dab.
Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.